Times Srirangam Temple is one of the oldest and most sacred temples of Lord Vishnu, where he appears as Lord Ranganatha in a peaceful reclining form on Adishesha. Times it is the largest functioning Hindu temple in the world, with daily rituals and traditions continuing for over 1,000 years. Times the temple is the first and most important Divya Desam, making it a major pilgrimage center for Vaishnavites seeking blessings and spiritual peace. Times Srirangam is built on an island formed naturally between the Cauvery and Kollidam rivers, giving the temple a serene and protected atmosphere. Times the temple spreads across 156 acres and feels like a small spiritual town with ancient streets, shrines, houses, mandapams, and shops inside. Times there are 7 prakarams, massive circular walls, each one taking you deeper into silence and devotion as you walk toward the sanctum. Times the temple has 21 gopurams, each beautifully carved with stories from mythology, showing the artistic skill of ancient kingdoms. Times the tallest Rajagopuram stands 236 feet high and is the tallest temple tower in Asia, visible from several kilometers away. Times inside the complex, there are more than 50 shrines, pillared halls, sacred tanks, and long stone corridors rich with culture and carvings. Times the main deity, Lord Ranganatha, is worshipped in a dimly lit sanctum where oil lamps create a divine glow around the idol. Times goddess Ranganayaki Thayar is worshipped in her own shrine, and devotees pray to her for protection, harmony, and family blessings. Times according to legend, this idol was first worshipped by Brahma, then passed to King Ikshvaku, then worshipped by Lord Rama. Times Lord Rama gifted the idol to Vibhishan, but when Vibhishan placed it on the Kaveri's bank, it became rooted there by divine will. Times that sacred spot became Srirangam, and over time the Cholas, Pandyas, Hoysalas, and Vijayanagar kings expanded the temple beautifully. Times Vaikuntha Ekadashi is the grandest festival, when lakhs of devotees gather and the sacred Swarga Vasal, the gate to heaven, is opened once a year. Times other festivals like Panguni Uthiram, Jestabhishekam, and Teppotsavam fill the temple with music, lamps, rituals, and colorful celebrations. Times must-see spots include the Rajagopuram view, the 1,000-pillar mandapam, golden vimana, sacred tanks, and the long inner corridors. Times temple prasadam like curd rice, puliyodrai, pongal, and laddu are simple but divine and carry the authentic temple taste. Times early morning darshan is the best time to visit as the temple feels peaceful and spiritually charged with soft chants and gentle lighting. Times traditional attire is recommended, and photography is allowed only in outer areas to maintain the sanctity of the inner shrines. Times weekends and festivals are crowded, so plan at least 2 to 3 hours to explore peacefully and enjoy the temple's spiritual ambience. Times Srirangam feels like a living spiritual city filled with history, devotion, culture, and divine energy in every step. The temple corridors fill with the soft smell of jasmine and camphor, creating a peaceful feeling as you walk. Times many families visit Srirangam for generations, calling it their spiritual home. Times the gentle chanting inside the prakarams makes the whole atmosphere devotional and calming. Times temple volunteers guide devotees kindly, helping with directions and darshan. Times the stone floors, worn smooth by countless footsteps, remind you of the temple's long history. Times even a simple walk here feels like a spiritual journey that brings inner quietness and positive energy. Many devotees walk barefoot through every prakaram, believing each step brings blessings and inner peace. Times evening aarti fills the temple with glowing lamps and soft chanting, creating a magical and calming atmosphere. Times the lamps, bells, and fragrance of incense create a divine experience you can feel with every step. Times if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to Earth Path Stories with Sarah.